Welcome to our YouTube channel. Today, we're talking about a big political and legal story unfolding in the United States. The U.S. Department of Justice, DOJ, has issued subpoenas to top Minnesota officials, and it has sparked serious debate about federal power, local government, and immigration enforcement. Let's break it down in simple terms. What just happened? On January 20, 2026, federal prosecutors served grand jury subpoenas to several elected leaders in Minnesota. Those officials include Governor Tim Walz, Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison, mayors of Minneapolis and St. Paul, and other local leaders. A subpoena is a legal order that requires someone to provide documents or testimony. In this case, it's part of a criminal investigation into whether these leaders may have obstructed federal immigration enforcement. Why did the DOJ do this? The Trump administration has been carrying out a large federal immigration operation in Minnesota known as Operation Metro Surge. The DOJ says it wants to know if Minnesota officials hindered federal agents from doing their jobs, made statements or took actions that blocked immigration enforcement. In other words, the DOJ is investigating whether leaders in Minnesota made it harder for federal immigration officers to operate during this surge. What Minnesota officials are saying? Minnesota leaders strongly reject the allegations. They call the subpoenas a political tactic, an attempt to intimidate local leaders, something aimed at shutting down criticism of federal actions. Governor Walz and the mayors say they were just speaking out against what they see as heavy-handed federal immigration enforcement, not trying to obstruct it. One mayor even said leaders shouldn't fear federal law enforcement being used to play politics against them. What's behind all this? This conflict didn't happen out of nowhere. It's connected to a large deployment of federal agents in Minneapolis and St. Paul, ongoing tensions over federal and local control of immigration enforcement, and a controversial incident where an ICE officer shot and killed a civilian, which sparked protests and sharp criticism from local leaders. So this isn't just a legal move, it's tied to a deeper political fight over law enforcement, immigration policy, and civil rights. Why this matters? This story matters for three big reasons. 1. Federal versus local power. It highlights a clash between national law enforcement and local leaders who want more say in how enforcement happens in their communities. 2. Legal and constitutional questions. The DOJ is looking at whether public officials crossed legal lines simply by speaking out or acting against federal immigration actions. That's unusual and controversial. 3. Public trust and polarization. This situation feeds into broader tensions in the U.S. between supporters of strict immigration enforcement and those who feel federal tactics are too aggressive or harmful. What could happen next? We don't know the full outcome yet. The subpoenas have asked officials to produce documents and records. A grand jury meeting is scheduled soon. Some legal experts say the case could take weeks or months to unfold. Others say the courts may have to decide if the subpoenas were justified. Either way, this story will likely stay in the news as the investigation continues. This is more than just a legal move. It's part of a bigger debate in the U.S. about immigration, federal power, and how communities should protect their residents. Whether you agree or disagree with what's happening, one thing is clear. This is a major conflict between federal authority and local leadership that could have lasting political and legal effects. If you want a simple breakdown of how grand jury subpoenas work or why federal and local leaders are clashing over immigration, just ask. Subscribe for more in-depth news breakdowns.